Dude, what is wrong with our system? Absolutely everything.
If you're watching this video, you probably know somebody that filed a bankruptcy because of medical bills, which, by the way, out of all the bankruptcies done in America, 66.5% of all the bankruptcies are due to medical bills, according to American Journal of Public Health. That's a lot of bankruptcies. And by the way, out of those people that filed bankruptcies, 72% of the time they had health insurance. So
That's crazy.
wait a minute, you have health insurance. How did you file bankruptcy? How do these guys make money? What is this health insurance business? Why do so few people trust it? How do hospitals make money? How much do they charge? What is their profit margin? Who's being held accountable? Are health insurance companies making the money and saying, good for you, I already got my money.
Okay,
Your
keep it
problem
open,
is the
okay.
government not collecting money? Is the hospital not getting the money for anybody? But who's paying for all this stuff? And at the same time, all the politicians don't want to talk about Medicare, Medicaid, let alone Social Security, because God forbid if they say the right thing to do is we kind of got to get away with this stuff. They're not going to get reelected, so they want to keep getting reelected, so they keep saying, you cannot do this. It's not fair. But guess what? At whose cost? At whose expense? At Gen Z's? At Millennial? At Gen X? So these guys are probably never going to get any of this stuff, but they finance it for them? Why is that fair? These are a lot of great questions. We're going to talk about that today. All right, so if you give value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. But let's get right into it. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever gotten a speeding ticket and you don't have any money? You're broke. I remember when this would happen to me. You don't know how you're going to pay for the speeding ticket. And many times I didn't pay for it and I had to pay for it 6 months later. And I would get pulled over and the cop would say, get out of the car. You have 6 tickets you haven't paid for. I've been through this before. Now, let me fast forward when you're 32 years old. 48 years old, 57 years old. You take your kid to the hospital. You're about to go to the hospital. And you know a bill is coming your way. You just don't know how much it's going to be. Do you? Do they tell you this is how much the bill's going to? Nobody tells you that. And that's what they call a surprise medical bill.
This is really retarded, by the way. Like, I I don't understand the idea behind this, but this is entirely true. And I'm speaking from experience from when I was in the hospital multiple times as an American citizen. You don't know how much you're going to get charged. It's always a surprise.
And you're sitting there saying, man, I have no idea what it's going to be. Here's a number for you. 41% of insured adults have surprise medical bills, and 2/3 of them are worried about being able to afford that surprise medical bill. You've been there. I've been there before. How many people are going?
Gonna be honest, dude. You just have to not pay it. I mean, what are they gonna do? Right? Are they gonna knock on your door and say, hey man, we need that money for that transplant surgery that you did? That implant? We need that money for that emergency surgery that you had to have? We need that money for that treatment? Like, what are they going to do if you don't pay it? I mean, they can try and take something out of your taxes, but at that point, dude, don't do it. There's always ways around it. There are always ways around it. Like, if you can set up like a payment plan to where you're only paying like $1 a day, then that's what you gotta do. If you even have to set anything up, but from my experience, dude, just
Do this, but where's the profit margins in this? How are people paying for these? Let me give you some more statistics here. 78% of adults have avoided hospital visits.
I am a I am in that percent.
44% medical care due to the cost. Have you ever know you're sick? You know something's wrong with you. You know you don't know what's going on with your chest pains, your back, pain here. You do not want to go because you don't want that bill. You don't know if you can afford it. But many times you have health insurance and you're still not going. So why do we have health insurance? Why are we paying for it if we do have it? Do you know how many people are asking these questions? So let's continue. 30% said they had to choose between.
This is why you get the new health insurance and not the old one, because it actually pays out while you're alive.
Paying for medical bills or basic necessities like food or housing, meaning you have a choice to go to the doctor and paying for that bill versus, man, I got to get some food for the kids and paying for my rent. You know which one I'm going to choose? I'll tolerate the pain. I'm going this way. Have you done that before? Maybe you haven't, but your parents may have done this before. And this continues. 137 million people in U.S. reported struggling with medical bills. Let me say the number again to you. 137 million people. Here's another one for you. You ever gone to the hospital and you're like, oh, you got to stay for 3 nights. You're like, no, I'm good. Listen, man, your leg is broken. You got to stay here for, no. I'll go walk on a crutch. Do you want to, no, leave it alone because I know everything is an add-on and a cost. But do you know how much it costs to stay at a hospital? Do you actually know the numbers? You want to learn about it? If you don't want to learn
It's
about it,
not
skip
good.
this part and go watch some.
It's not good. I'll tell you that much. It is way too expensive. In fact, it's why at most places they'll try and get you out as soon as possible. Because that's a lot of expenses, number one. Number two, it's another room that they need open for other patients. So that way they can get overcharged. You know what I'm saying?
Something else.
It's all about, you have to think about it from a business perspective.
Because I'm going to show you how much these things cost. Look, life is pretty complicated sometimes. Sometimes you're dealing with something with divorce. You know, you're going through something. You lost a loved one. You're about to get fired. You don't know what's going on. Data came out saying 1 in 4 Americans don't have anybody to confide in. This is why today's sponsor, BetterHelp, is here to help you. And this is what they do. You have a list of 20,000 plus therapists to talk about whatever issues you want, and you literally answer a questionnaire. So I want to give you an example of some of these hospitals on what they're charging per $100. Here's what you will look at. Number one would be Capital Health, which is based on
I know I just skipped over the sponsor, but I think a lot of us here have seen the sponsor before, and if you look into it, it's actually not what they're not what they say they are. So I won't even show it on my channel, but you know, it's fine.
New Jersey, 1,443%. Number two is CarePoint Health, which is in Florida and Jersey, 1,313%. Third one is Regional Medical Center, which is 1,106% out of Florida. Fourth one is American Academic Health System, 1,064% out of Pennsylvania. Then you got Temple University, 1,000% out of Pennsylvania again. Then you got HCA out of Florida. Then you got Tenet Healthcare Corporation out of Texas. Then you got Community Health Systems, which is national. Then you got Universal Health Services, which is
Why is anything above 1,000%, or even at like a few 100%, dude?
national.
Like, where does this come from?
You got St. Luke's out of Pennsylvania. 3 out of the top
And why is it
10
so
was
high?
Pennsylvania, and 3 out of the top 10 was Florida. Now you may ask, why Pennsylvania and Florida in the top 10? Because Florida is in the top 5 oldest.
You know, that's a question I was asking, but that is a question worth asking, I suppose.
Ask why Pennsylvania and Florida in the top 10? Because Florida is in the top 5 oldest states in America population-wise, and Pennsylvania is the top 8 oldest state population-wise in America. So they have older people that are like, listen, guys, we got a lot of boomers here. Charge it up, mark it up a little bit. We'll make some money here. Because again, they can. Now, some of you may be watching and saying, Pat, if I
Again, it's from a business perspective, so of course they're gonna do that. Unfortunately.
can't pay the bill, I can't pay the bill. I just don't pay the bill. That's what I do. Well, you know, there's many ways they can get the money from you. One of them being wage garnishment. They can, in many cases, up to 25%, they can just take the money out of your account if they really wanted to. These people can file for it, and that can happen. Now, obviously, some states are more strict than others, but there is another part.
That's why you don't give them your credit card information. Like, every time I've gone and I haven't had the money to pay, I've literally said, yo, dude, I don't have the money. I don't have anything. They're like, can you pay something? I'm like, no. I could try.
To this on a hospital being interviewed on why these prices are going higher, what is the regulation, who's controlling them, and this was done by Dr. Marty McCary, and here's what he came up with in a book he wrote titled The Price We Pay. Researchers from the University of Iowa called 101 U.S. hospitals on prices from the same type of heart bypass operations. Only 53 provided. The price varied from $44,000 to $448,000. So 101 hospitals, 53 gave the rate from 44,000 to 448. My dad has had a bypass. What's the difference? One is 44, one is 440. That's 10 times more. Who dictates the terms? Do I just pick and choose and say, yeah, I think you look like a $300,000 type of person. No, I think you're 80. Let's see you for 220. Who determines what these prices are? Is it a secret? Can we know? Can you imagine you go buy a car? You say, I'd like to buy that Mustang. What's the price? Can't tell you until you buy it. What's the price of the car?
Right here. This. This right here. This philosophy is why the surprise medical bills are a scam. Because why are they waiting to tell you until after your operation's done? Why can't you know before you do anything? Why can't you know, like, upon entering, like, how much it's gonna be? It's like they keep it a secret from you for a reason.
Nope. You want to buy it? Yes. $78,000. It's really $22,000. Imagine
Really makes you think, doesn't it?
how weird that is. That's how hospitals work. He continues. Hospital officials confessed that they inflate.
That's right here. That's right here. This is why you need the new insurance. The new one. Because the new one pays out while you're alive. And the old ones, it doesn't matter, as you can see.
Bills each year in order to generate more revenue. Since the insurance companies pay only part of the sticker prices, insurance confess they demand bigger and bigger discounts in their contracts with hospitals in order to keep up. Both admitted that they pass on higher bills to the public in the form of higher insurance premiums.
Yikes.
And last but not least, watch what this lady said at the end, just flat out. A hospital employee whom Dr. Marty McCary confronted on behalf of a patient who received an exorbitant hospital bill provides the answer. The law allows us to charge whatever we want. If we want to charge $1 million, she has to pay for it. Can you?
Hold on. Wait.
Hospital bill provides the answer. The law.
See? Are you guys seeing the problem yet?
Allows us to charge whatever we want.
This has to stop. This has to stop. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we need to abolish it. We need to like full on just abolish it. We need to like dismantle it and reform at this point, because I don't know what else that we can do.
If we want to charge $1 million,
We can't just let like scam artists like this run the healthcare business. We have to have like real. I don't even know what we need, dude. To be honest, we need something like systematically like to change overall.
dollars, she has to pay for it. Can you imagine that? So it's already crazy.
I couldn't, dude. You know, if somebody looked at me dead in the eye and say, "Yo, man, you gotta pay $1 million for this," I'm gonna say, "You bet your sweet ass I'm not." Bye. Do I look like $1 million? I mean, maybe, but come on, dude.
But this next stat I share with you, some of you guys are going to say, I don't believe this. You're going to have to go to your.
If I'm paying anybody $1 million, I gotta get like like something in return, not just to stay alive, man. Fuck. I mean, honestly, dude, that's why God's my healer. Actually, He is the best doctor out there. It's a secret they don't want you to know, guys. They don't want you to know that God is the best healer out there. He's the only one that you really need. So at the end of the day, maybe that's just what people need, dude.
Your own research when I show you this number. Can you tell me what are the biggest industries in America by revenue? By revenue.
Wait. What did you just ask?
Can you tell me what are the biggest industries in America by revenue?
I can tell you right now. Off the top of my head, Big Pharma. That's the biggest one. Big Pharma. And that is a streamline of different organizations. You've got pharmaceutical companies, you got food companies, you have all sorts of different companies, you know what I'm saying?
By revenue. You ready? The number one industry
That's my guess. Let's see what he
in
says.
America by revenue, and this is numbers from 2023. Hospitals
Yep.
in the U.S. is
Yep.
number one.
Big Pharma.
$1.426 billion. Number two is drug and cosmetic and toiletry wholesaling in the U.S., 1.364. Then you got pharmaceutical wholesaling, then health and medical, then commercial banking, then new car dealers, then.
What was I saying? What am I saying? The top five all fall in the same no. Yes, the top five all fall in the same category, but Big Pharma is more involved with the banks than you imagine. If you don't know that, if you're not really touched up on that subject, I suggest doing your research. I strongly suggest that.
and life insurance and annuity.
Mm-hmm. And right there's another one that falls under the same line, sort of. Although it's definitely separate from the others because life insurance and annuities, it's not necessarily like they're not all run by big pharma. There's the new life insurance that I mentioned that does its own deal, and pays out while you're alive, all that fun stuff. And then on top of that, there's a whole lot of other ways and things that life insurance actually helps you out so much more with than what you might actually think. And ways of like making and saving your money like hardcore. If you really want to save your money and learn how to make more, I suggest looking more into life insurance, dude. Like straight up.
These hot
There's a reason that this man right here is the man who he is today. It's because not only is he the face of Valuetainment, but he's also the CEO of the company that I'm personally working under. As you know in some of my previous videos.
hospitals is number one, and no one even talks about it. However, here's the crazy part about hospitals. If I were to ask you how
That's the problem, dude. I think that's another issue that he just mentioned right there. No one is talking about it except for me, him, and maybe some other faces on the internet, right? But on a day-to-day basis, do you personally, you at home, do you hear anybody actually talking about this? Do you engage in conversations with them about hospitals and how they're the top grossing industry in the entire country? Does anybody talk about that? I don't think so.
much money do these guys make? Man, on 1.426, the margins got to be massive. Like this Google, Facebook it's got to be massive margins. That's the problem. Their margins are very small, but how? Matter of fact, if you look at the numbers in 2022 and early 2023, you will notice, according to Kaufman Hall Operating Margin Index, year to date by month, they're in the negative. Look at the numbers right there. Negative 2.1, negative 2.4, negative 1.9, negative. Every month has been in the negative. And even if we go prior to COVID, and maybe we go look at 1995 through 2016, it's always been in the single digits. The lowest was 2%, and the highest is roughly 8%. So how is this even possible? You got 400% to 1,800% of margins. Shouldn't you be making more money? I don't even understand how this is possible. Here's why. Because the government is heavily involved.
Right there. Right there. That's all you had to say.
How this is possible. Here's why.
That's why people in healthcare actually struggle to make a living. Is because I'm telling you right now, at least 40% of that money is taxed and sent to the government, which if you've kept up with with real news and everything that's happening, where have those dollars actually gone? Overseas. They've gone to Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? We like to fund out other people's lavish lifestyles, but we don't like to take care of our own people. That's the theme of our country right now.
Because
Because screw Americans, apparently.
the government is heavily involved. When you look at Medicare and Medicaid in 2020, combined underpayments, not payments, but underpayments, were $100 billion, up from $75.8 billion in 2019. And the
Jeez.
2020 underpayments includes a shortfall of $75.6 billion for Medicare and $24.8 billion for Medicaid. And matter of fact, for Medicare, hospitals receive payments of only 84 cents for every dollars spent by hospitals caring for Medicare patients in 2020. Now, this doesn't include increased labor, increased medicine,
Oh my
$18 billion
gosh.
just for illegal immigrants in 2018, according to Forbes. We can.
Oh, you want to talk about illegal immigrants? Let's talk about that. Because it's gotten so much fucking worse since 2018. I'll tell you that much.
Add on a bunch of different things, and the numbers keep adding up, so you realize they're not making any of the money as much as I thought they would be making. But who's not doing their part? Is it the health insurance company? Are they taking the money and leaving? Is it the government, taxpayers? Maybe they're expecting us to pay a lot more. Whose fault is it that this is taking place? Remember earlier I talked about Medicare and Medicaid, where generation is holding everybody else.
It's a good question, and I don't know if that's an easy one to answer. But I really think it's a streamline a multitude of things. I don't think it's just like one problem. I think the whole problem is systematic, and that there's a multitude, like a complication of multiple factors that go into it. Not just like the government, but like everything else he's mentioned.
Hostage.
Immigration at that, you know what I'm saying?
For making sure that they get their Social Security, Medicaid, the baby boomers. A lot of people are going to get upset at this, but I'm not running for office. I'm not trying to get reelected. I'm not a governor. I'm not a congressman. I'm not a senator. I'm not a president. I'm not trying to win your vote.
Yeah, he's actually a good person.
My job is to ask questions and saying, can we afford it? Every year, we keep getting into more and more debt. What's the solution? Not a worry. Keep kicking this debt to the next generation. Let them handle it. Let their grandkids handle it. Let our kids handle it. Who cares about them? Let's take care of our lives right now. They'll figure out a way. They're young. They're going to be old one day. And what are they going to do? Do exactly what you did. And then eventually...
Right there. That's another solid nugget. That's a point right there. Is that if you keep living with this like mentality of, oh, my kids are gonna handle it, they're not gonna handle it. To me, that comes off as like weak-minded. Like you're not willing to work for it, and you're not willing to set yourself and your kids up for success, which is just terrible. Every man should avoid that mindset and do the opposite.
This great idea called United States of America, poof, is gone. And hey, another person comes in. We're in debt now. People are leaving to other countries. Oh, it'll never happen to America. Maybe to Rome. Maybe to the Persian Empire.
Oh, this is good.
Maybe to Greece. Maybe to, but not in America.
Listen, guys. If Rome can fall 2,000 years ago, America can fall now if we do not do something now. And that's just the truth.
Not
We have to do something.
Never, not here. No, we're headed in that direction with these irresponsible decisions that we're making. And by the way, let me continue. Watch this. The National Healthcare Anti-Fraud Association, NHCAA, estimates that the financial losses due to healthcare fraud might be as high as $300 billion each year. This is on top of everything.
That's so much fucking money.
Else. But watch this data of how far along we've come since 1960. National per capita health expenditure in the U.S. from 1960 to today. So if you look at it right there, 19.
Wow. Guys. Just take a moment and look at that chart. Like here, let me full screen it real quick. See that? Look at this massive jump from 1980 to 2000 to 2000 actually. From 1980 to 2000. From 1099 to 6872. What in the world? What went wrong?
60, it's $146 per person in expenditure to now it's gone all the way up to $12,591. How long can we afford this, by the way? With an aging population. Matter of fact,
That's another factor. Because of the fact that they're blatantly poisoning our food in this country, the life expectancy is significantly dropping due to the random chronic illnesses, the deaths of young people. You know, you have random 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds with heart problems that they shouldn't have. And I'm not gonna look. I'm just gonna say things for what they are. It absolutely has to do with the vaccine.
in September of 2020, President
I will say this. I am not pro-vax. Not whatsoever.
Donald Trump signed
This absolutely has to do with not just the poison in our food, but the forced vaccines, all these other factors that you can probably think of if you're an American citizen.
an executive order aimed at ensuring hospital price transparency and limiting surprise billing, requiring that price information he made publicly available. This was obviously a great piece of legislation because it would give people the ability to compare prices and force hospitals to price operations more competitively. It's like saying, hey, what do you charge for this car? $28,000. Galpin Ford sells it for 24. Hey guys, the other guy sells it for 24. Match them. We'll sell it to you for $24,000. See what happened? But before you couldn't compare it. So Trump says, I think we ought to do this. And guess who says we ought to continue with this? So Biden directed the Department of Health.
Are you seeing it yet? Are you seeing it yet?
Human Services to enforce the rule, which what Trump started. It's like, yeah, this is kind of a good idea. We got to do, but watch what happens. Only a year later, research published by nonprofit group Patient Rights Advocate determined that 471 out of 500 hospitals examined were not in
I guarantee this is gonna happen.
compliance with the new rule, and at the same time, the maximum fine from the federal government for failing to post prices is $109,500 per year, even though CMS said in July that they were planning on raising it to $2 million per year for large hospitals. The problem is they send warning letters to almost 170 hospitals that had yet to post prices, but the agency hadn't imposed any fines. And Catherine Howden, a spokesperson for CMS, said that the agency expects hospitals to comply with these legal requirements and will enforce these rules if the
Okay, but these hospitals are run by humans, and humans, they're questionable.
hospitals don't comply within 90 days. You know what they do? They send you a warning letter. That's it. You get another warning letter. Can you imagine? It's like a love letter on top of a love letter, and nothing else happens. And in
See, of course, it's just a letter. It's not any real enforcement. Who would have thought?
May of 2023, some data came out. Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith brought the facts, citing that fewer than 1 in 4 hospitals are estimated to be in compliance with these price transparency rules, and only 4 hospitals out of 6,000 nationwide have been fined for non-compliance. So guess what? Hospitals, get out of here. You're not going to do anything. We're giving you money anyways when you get reelected. You need our money. You need us to keep charging more money so we can give you more to your campaign, and we'll hire the lobbyists to come and help you out. Don't act like you care. Say it from stage, but you know you're not going to enforce it behind closed doors. It's kind of what's happening. So I got the one last thing I'm going to show you. This one's going to probably upset you the most on how we can afford to do this kind of stuff. So watch this. Here's an article from American Hospital Association. Look what it says. Medicare and Medicaid pay less than cost. The uninsured pay little or nothing, and others must make up the difference. I'm going to read it to you one more time. Medicare and Medicaid pay less than what it costs. So hospitals who are getting money from Medicaid, they're not getting what it costs them. They're getting paid less. The uninsured pay little to nothing. The uninsured, those are like, I can't afford health insurance. The ones that are not being responsible for having insurance or can't afford it. But the people, the responsible ones, are supposed to make up the difference. The working man, you're paying for it, okay? Watch this. Medicare and Medicaid pay less.
This is why you don't get health insurance from your work, but you get the new one.
Than the cost of caring for program beneficiaries, an annual shortfall of $57.8 billion. Let me continue. This is very important for you to know what's going on here, because you, the working man, remember in a movie, Sonny tells Robert De Niro, the working man is a sucker, right? The working man is a sucker. This is what he was talking about. We're paying for everybody else that's saying, I'm not going to pay for it, right? This is why the working man is so...
Okay, dude, like, this just, like, reminds me of the reason why I listen to this song, or, like, songs like these a lot. Wait, let me look at this, chill, ask your boss, hope that job is paying off. See?
frustrated.
I don't know why I wanted to put that. I just wanted to put that in there. That's just like one of my big driving motivations of just never falling into the rat race, you know what I'm saying? I'll do anything but that.
In America today who is responsible, hospital, uncompensated care. Both free care and care for which no payment is made up by patients makes up about 6% of the average hospital's cost. Most hospitals receive no government financial support at all to provide this care, though some hospitals owned by local governments, but not all public hospitals, receive tax subsidies from state and local governments to help offset some of the cost of care for poor populations. Overall, these payments represent 10 cents per dollar of cost. Privately insured patients and others often make up the difference. Remember, Medicare, all those guys, they only make up 6% of the cost.
And this video, if it hasn't already, it should motivate you to work hard enough to own your own business, to own your own network of people, so you can hire your own doctors. You know, people who you can trust, people who you know that they know what they're doing, and you won't get any surprise costs. You know what I'm saying? You just get taken care of.
The rest is made up by us. So somebody may be watching and say, Pat, this is very annoying. No, I know. I'm also annoyed. I'm paying for it as well. You are too. I'm not only paying for it, I'm also paying for a lot of different people who are having health insurance that I'm paying for. It's the cost. It's the benefit of you're giving CEOs, hey, what benefit do you offer? Here's our health insurance. Here's our health insurance. So I'm involved on both sides. So what's the solution, Pat? To me, it's all accountability because we have to sit there and have the tough conversation. Are we going to say yes to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security at all costs, even though everybody else takes the hit and many go?
Nope. I've already said what we need to do. We need to abolish the whole Medicare Medicaid system. We just need to get rid of it. Just break it down to millions or whatever splinters it will become, and just say screw all that. We need a whole revamp. We need a rework. We need a USA rework.
Go through bankruptcy? Is that fair? Even though it hurts all the working men, it's like that man that was talking to Elizabeth Warren. He's like, wait a minute, you're canceling college loan on the people that didn't make payments. I busted my ass with 2-3 jobs to make sure my kids' college education was paid for. I'm paying the price. Me? Why am I paying? I'm not rich. He's saying this to Elizabeth Warren. She doesn't have an answer for him. She's got a smirk on her face because this doesn't make sense. And a lot of people are going through
Should really show how out of touch these people are.
this right now. So it's accountability in the life insurance industry. Watch how the life insurance industry works versus real estate or loans. Say I sell a house to Johnny. I sell him $1 million house. I get him approved with a bank. The bank says I'll take this loan. I sold $1 million. The guy that's selling the house, he gets his money. The equity he had in the house. Say you own $600,000 loan. We sell it for $1,400,000 minus the commission. That check goes to the owner of the house that sold it to the new owner. But the new owner who got the house, 6 months later says, I don't want to make the payments. I'm okay. I can't afford it. I don't want to make the payments. The other guy that owned the house, he doesn't care. He already got his check. The realtor, I already got my check. I left. I don't care. You go collect the check. I don't need to collect the check. I don't have any accountability here. That guy has no accountability here. The bank is screwed, and this man doesn't want to make the rent. How many times does that happen in America? He sits in that house for 6, 12, 18, 24 months. So
Real estate's not sounding so bad after all.
some states, you can't even kick the guy out. He stayed there. You can't kick me out. Frustrating, right? You know how life insurance works? Here's how life insurance works. I sell the same person $1 million insurance policy. It's $250 a month. I get advance a check, let's just say $2,000, $3,000. The insurance company sends it to me, advance. They send me the check. 6 months down the line, Johnny stops making the payments. The insurance company calls me and said, hey, we haven't received the last payment for the last 6 weeks. I can't say, what do you want me to do? Go collect it. I already got my money. No. If you don't get Johnny to pay his next premium, you're going to charge back. How much? Potentially the whole $2,000 I give you, or 50%.
Chargeback's gonna happen.
Let me call Johnny. I'm on
That's a
top
real
of it.
thing. That's real shit right there.
Drive to the guy's house to get the payment because there's accountability. That's why I love life insurance, because there has to be accountability. You can't get away with it. And I got my money, I'm good. No, you can't do that. As long as we
That's why I like it more than real estate.
can
Is because it's actually accountable.
create a certain system of accountability here, we can't just say, hey, Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, screw you guys. You pay for it. You can afford it. While everybody else, they're just going to account for 6% of it. Dude, no. I'm trying to have my own wife and kids and family and sending for private school and doing this and doing that and paying my tax. Why are you doing this to me? That's kind of what's going on in the health insurance, the hospital, the Medicare, the Medicaid. So as much as we can say, well, hospitals make so much money, they actually don't make a lot of money. Margins are very small, like with restaurants. They're just trying to get money from somebody. And who ends up being a person that pays for the hospital? The working man. You and I. We pay for it. I don't think it's cool. I think it's a tough conversation. I think if you share this video with people that are of the age, they're going to watch this and they're not going to be happy about it. But I don't want your vote. I don't need your vote. I'm not trying to tell you, I'm running for office, vote for me. Oh yeah, it's okay. I'm not playing that game. I don't think that's right. I think we all got to do our part. I think putting all the punishment in the next generation is an unfair thing to do. Anyways, if you agree or disagree, if I got you thinking, you got value out of this video.
And so, oh, both of these, like this one right here, I didn't even see this until now, but this video right here on the side, the U.S. wealth inequality, I guarantee you that's gonna correlate with what he's talking about here with U.S. healthcare. Because, I mean, how are you going to make somebody who's making less than 10 grand a month pay $1 million for a freaking hospital bill? Let's watch it.
Oh, this is like bad, right? Like it's like really bad.
The U.S. is a pretty rich country as far as countries go. While some people are apparently doing fine, most people I know seem pretty worried about money. 6 out of 10 people say they don't even have enough saved to cover a
$500 saved. That's most people don't even have $500 saved. Well, I'm sure this will end well.
$500 emergency. So
we need to have a new civil war so we can kill half the people in the country, and then we can redistribute the wealth among the people that are still alive.
Boom! He said it. That's facts. We do need a civil war.
Like,
we need a revolution.
This just can't keep going on. We gotta have like a civil war, another COVID thing like this. Yeah, we gotta figure something else out about this.
Thanos was right.
I'm thinking maybe civil war, right? I mean, what do y'all think?
Okay, guys, we don't have infinity stones. We can't really make a snap happen, but in a manner of speaking,
plague? No,
America can 1776 again. But that's only if men actually have the balls to do it.
Yeah, it's gotta be something, right?
All this money. Is there a chart to help us find it? You've probably seen one like this that shows the distribution of wealth in the U.S. If not, load up on antidepressants.
And hey, I'm talking about it, and I'll just say this. If that ever happens, dude, I'll be glad to defend myself. You know what I'm saying?
And watch this video from a while back. I made my own version of this chart with data from the 2019 survey of consumer finances. It shows the population.
Oh, it's only 2019? It's probably twice as bad now.
Guarantee you it's like 2.5 times as bad now.
The United States broken into 100 groups sorted by net worth. Each of these groups is 1% of the population, or about 3.3 million people.
Look how bad it is already. Dude, it's 2019, these statistics, and they're already this bad.
My favorite part about this is how the poorest people have negative money. Like, it actually goes into the negatives.
Basically, how much you would have after you sold everything from like stocks, houses, and cars, and used it to pay back what you owe to banks, credit cards, and everyone else. So yeah, this is the chart that shows that most of the nation's wealth is held by only 1% of the population, while the other 99% clip coupons.
See, it's like you think about the top 1%. We're back. Sorry about. I don't know what that was. It's because I said civil war. Yeah, something like that, right? Let me go back. We keep it up. Sorry about that, guys.
Population, while the other 99% clip coupons and try to make money on eBay. This is why you hear people talking about the 1% and the 99%. My problem with this chart isn't that it inspires outrage in a nihilistic sense that fate is a protester laughing as we toil fruitlessly to inflate the power of an exploited ruling class that seems hell-bent on leading us down the path of endless conflict and eventual extinction. My problem is that the number used to represent the 99th percent is a median net worth, which means half the people in here have more money than this number, and the other half have less money. For every other group, you can tell when the number maxes out, because if it gets too high, it gets sorted into the next group up. This last 1%, though, we don't really know the highest net worth, because there is no next group up. You might have heard people say, it's actually not the 1% who hold all the wealth, it's more like 0.01%. So let's do some advanced data research to see if we can add some detail to this last column.
Okay. So it's looking at like all the billionaires?
Let's take a look at our new chart to see where all this American abundance is hiding. Well, it sure isn't here in the lowest 50%. That's only 3% of the wealth. This section represents 166 million people,
Right.
with net worths ranging from $100,000 in debt up to a fairly comfortable lifestyle of $121,000. These feel like most of the people I come across. When we zoom out to 90% of the population, you start to spot a few millionaires. This slope here feels like what you might expect from a free market economy where amassing money becomes exponentially easier when you have more of it to invest. Maybe some of these people are greedy.
Yeah, it's easier to make money when you have money. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
People are down on their luck or,
True.
Being lazy, waiting for government handouts, or maybe they just don't have that can-do spirit or a winner's mindset. But who cares? We're still only seeing 32% of the nation's wealth. When you add in the next 9%, the slope gets even more drastic. If you try to fit people with up to $11 million onto this axis. This curve is still what you might expect from an economy that has wealth being passed down through generations and accumulating in the same hands over time, with maybe a history of policies that restrict poor and or non-white people from acquiring property. But this is only 69% of the wealth. Let's include everyone except the richest 0.1% of the population.
Ooh.
Well, now this is just kind of screwing everything up.
Damn.
The scale has to reach up to $51 million, which means 98.
Ooh. That's pretty drastic.
Percent of the people don't even make it to the first line on the grid.
I would
If
expect
we're being
that.
accurate, these people shouldn't even be visible at this scale. Not sure
probably
if this
not.
is a glitch, but I'm going to go ahead and leave this 1 pixel line here just to remind people we exist. So here we've got 99.9% of the population, but
The only one who's talking at a normal pace, other than myself, is Asmund.
Still short by 13%.
That's the only reason I don't want to speed this up, is because he actually talks at a normal rate.
Normally I'd let that slide, but it's more than...
Dude, I don't know what it is about some people like this on the internet but it just seems like they just speak in like 0.75% of normal speed, like all the time. And it's honestly annoying.
Quadrupled the amount held by half the country. Up till now we've been using the same old medians in the lower brackets, but now that we've got more data for the 99th percentile, let's see what happens when we...
Super whales? Isn't it crazy how gacha games function the exact same way as wealth inequality in the U.S.? That's crazy.
Yeah.
At this
Money
what are the odds?
visible slope symbolizing the steep...
Wait, I wanted him to say that again.
But now that we've got more data
I want to hear
for
that.
the 99th percentile,
What do you say?
let's see what happens when we...
Super whales? Isn't it crazy how gacha games function the exact same way as wealth inequality in the U.S.? That's crazy.
At this all-encompassing scale,
what are the odds?
visible slope
What are the
symbolizing
odds?
steep but climbable path from rags to riches is now gone, replaced by a meaningless void. Is our chart so broken that it's showing nothing of interest? Or is it actually telling the whole story of American affluence? And it's so bleak that it's better to just ignore it. If we're searching for the last 13% of American wealth, it must be somewhere in this line.
Yeah.
It's just as empty and meaningless as before, even for the top.
Look at this, is
99.94,
99.95.
Even register on the scale.
Holy
Since
shit.
the scale is now in billions of dollars, let's take a look at the billionaires. Now we're only looking at 720 people. This
Oh my
is the
God.
1% or the 0.01%. This is 2/10,000ths of a percent, holding more wealth than half the country combined. One nice thing though is that we can see everyone on the chart. Did you know one person represents 3/10 millionths of a percent of the population? You can even see who they are.
Wow.
What's weird to me is that the wealth disparity just keeps going.
Oh, wow.
How do we explain it now? Are these people more industrious than these people down here? Is George Soros a victim of his own
Fuck that guy.
conspiracy to keep himself down? Is Oprah just being lazy and waiting for
Fuck that person too.
handouts? Is LeBron James lacking that winning mindset? Maybe life isn't exactly
Fuck him too.
unfair to the billionaire class, but this 4% of wealth is not distributed evenly. Half of it is in the hands of the top 100.
Dude, like 99.9, if not 100% of these people are all pieces of shit.
And half of that is in the hands of the top 10. Only here do you start to see anything resembling a plateau.
They've all done something very wrong, very illegal, and have gotten away with it because they're billionaires.
Is $100 billion the amount at which you can finally be rich enough? Is it that there's no more wealth?
Other than him. I'm pretty sure he's like the only, like Elon Musk is the only like okay billionaire out there.
To to be drained from the population because their capacity to build crap and buy other crap is maxed out. This chart isn't just about finance and economics. Money is power, influence, and freedom. Maybe I'm missing something, but this doesn't feel like the chart of a democracy where everyone has open access to opportunity. On the other hand, I'm starting to wonder if this situation...
I actually don't think this is a problem. I think what the problem is the fact that the people that are at the bottom of the chart can't live a normal life. And I think that they would even agree with that. I think that if the people at the bottom of the chart didn't have to worry about, like, being able to pay for healthcare, they wouldn't really care about the
See, this is how it correlates right here.
fact that Elon Musk has like $100 billion. It wouldn't really matter because they're not thinking about him because they're content and they have their needs met. So it's like, I think that it's getting pushed so far because, like, I don't think it's really a bad thing that people can make a lot of money, but the real problem isn't that people can make a lot of money, it's that other people don't have any money.
That right there, that's the problem. That's the problem in America. Is the people at the bottom have nothing to work with, and they're constantly slaving away just to try and make ends meet.
It's about more than people being too needy or too greedy or too much government or not enough government. Who's got a red hat? Who's got a blue hat? There are obviously things we're doing that make the curve steeper than it needs to be, and things we could be doing to make it less severe. But this kind of...
Somebody says, why do you need more than 10 billion? People don't have $10 billion. This is a misconception for people that are, like, kind of financially illiterate. They don't have $10 billion. It's not like there's a bank account with, like, there's a bank with a vault that has $10 billion of, like, $20 bills in it. This is all theoretical stock value that's attached to a company. The money is theoretical.
Right here. This is the part that most people don't understand.
Continuously
He's speaking
recurring
facts.
pattern is starting to feel familiar. This has the markings of something even harder to understand than human behavior. It kind of looks like math. My old friend from high school who keeps showing up at every party I go to, not because he's invited, but because it turns out he's the one throwing it. We'll dive into that next time. In the meantime, go check out what we're doing at Commingle. You might find it interesting.
Yeah, I think the real problem isn't the fact that you have really rich people, it's that you have really poor people. Because, like, if people didn't have that problem, they wouldn't be, like, malding out and, like, getting mad at the rich people. Because they would be busy just doing their own thing and not worrying about it or anything like that. This is a small channel. Make sure to give it a like. Yeah, there it is. We're successful, we're debt-free, we own everything. Oh.
Wait, who is this guy? Wait, Commingle? Wait, let me look it up. What's the video called? Wait, what was the one that he was watching? I'm just gonna look up Commingle and it sucks. See if I find it. Oh, here it is. I'm gonna give this a like. You guys should do this too. Give this video a like. Small channel. Like mine.
Oh, the Arizona tea? Why rich?
Okay, dude. Everybody keeps mentioning Arizona tea. But if you've actually lived in the real world and you've gone out, then you've seen Arizona tea is $1.50 now.
People don't help poor people? Well, I think that rich people oftentimes do help poor people, right? Because, like, if you're rich, let's say, you're probably providing jobs to those people, and you probably do help some people. And also, it's not their job to do that. You can't expect anybody to go out of their way to do anything for anybody other than themselves. If you rely on people's individual charity, you're totally making a mistake, and you'll never have those people do anything for that. I expect a lot? Yeah, you shouldn't. Like, most people are selfish, and also, like, people that are in the middle probably aren't doing a lot of things for the people that are at the bottom either. Most people aren't going to be doing anything because they only care about themselves and their own lives. That's just the way the world is.
Unfortunately true.
So if plenty of rich people help, it's the most that have most money, invested in assets. Yeah, a lot of wealth is not like dollar bills. It's like assets and, you know, like stocks and stuff like that.
And, oh, another freaking lyric, dude. Hang on. Let me find something. You want to hear some real shit? Some real... So, this is... Anyway, you want to hear stuff that was true and stated, like, even 5 years ago? Listen to the first bar of this song. This is the part that goes along the lines of what I was talking about with like how they poison our food and shit with big pharma and all that. Food and ingredients that cancer does lead to the study. Shot. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say, dude. Dude, Bones is the most, like, one of the most real artists out there, for real. But, there you go.
So a lot of people get that wrong, but in general, I think it's a very big misconception. I went from foster care to Yale. This is why I learned about my luxury beliefs. Oh, I can think of a lot of luxury beliefs.
College protesters have finally gone home for the summer.
What a surprise.
They've left a lasting mark on history. Their legacy? A destructive trend in social justice activism. It goes far beyond college campuses. It's self-centered, it's manipulative, and it's terrible for America. I call them luxury beliefs.
I already agree with everything he's going to say.
Me too. And I'm just gonna run that back.
Big misconception. I went from foster care to Yale. This is why I learned about my luxury beliefs. Oh, I can think of a lot of luxury beliefs.
College protesters have finally gone home for the summer.
I can think of a lot too.
What a surprise.
They've left a lasting mark on history. Their legacy? A destructive trend in social justice activism. It goes far beyond college campuses. It's self-centered, it's manipulative, and it's terrible for America. I call them luxury beliefs.
I already agree with everything he's going to say. I think he's completely right.
I'm the rare PhD who grew up carrying everything I owned in a trash bag starting when I was 3. I lived in 10 foster homes before I joined the Air Force. Then I went to Yale on the GI Bill, and on to Cambridge. Along the way, I came up with the term luxury beliefs. They're ideas held by privileged people that make them look good, but actually harm the marginalized.
This is like, for example, victim blaming. Remember whenever I was talking about how like kids shouldn't be on social media? And it
Yo. He's nailing the coffin right here.
like again, it helps it helps people look good because it doesn't sound good to say that because it's like, oh, well, why don't you just blame the people that are doing it? But like, yeah, this is what people do. People care more about the optics of an argument than what the argument is. They care more about looking good than doing good.
It's like virtue
100,000%.
signaling, with consequences.
Defund the police. Why should we defund the police?
Take defund the police. Classic luxury belief. That cause
It's
was
absolutely a luxury belief. No normal person thinks this. The only people that think this are retards.
most supported by the wealthiest Americans.
100%.
It was least
No
supported by
normal person out there actually thinks this. And that's just the truth.
poor Americans who are at least twice as likely to be victims of violent crime compared to the middle class.
Yeah.
Where I grew up, we were lucky there were police to call. Next up, decriminalizing drugs. That's another luxury belief.
All drugs should be decriminalized.
I want to decriminalize drug possession for
Again, no normal person actually thinks this. This is retarded.
personal use, and here's why.
Should crystal meth be legal?
Uh-oh.
The answer is yes.
That movement has been most
Uh-oh.
supported by well-educated Americans.
Yep.
Less so by those without a college degree, who are more likely to experience the downsides of the drug trade. My mom
I'll be honest.
once tied me to a chair with a belt while she got high. And it's not just me. Since 2000, the number of foster kids has doubled due to parental drug use. Luxury beliefs are all over the place. Get rid of the SAT?
4 hours.
SAT, get the fuck out of here. Getting rid of that. Drugs are human made. Weed's not a drug. I mean, I don't know. You could say that with a lot of stuff. I am of the mindset, like, if somebody wants to do drugs, they can. I think dealing drugs should be, like, you should arrest dealers, not the people that are addicted to them.
This right here. The dealers should be the ones who are in prison, not the ones who do it. Because the ones who do it just need to be... They need help, man. Like, more than anything, they just need support in their life. And they're not going to find that behind a jail cell. And with fees behind it, you know, having to pay fines or anything like that.
Because the people that are addicted...
You know, it doesn't take, like, that much thinking, that much critical thought to really piece that together.
addicted to them are like victims. So like actually I disagree with that one, but like there's some nuance to it, and I see what he's saying, right?
Of my life. Down the drain.
SAT scores help underprivileged kids get into college. Reject marriage?
Well, SAT is obviously something that indicates whether you're intelligent or not. This is like a it's like a stupid person cope. It's like I don't do well on any testing, and I can't explain my knowledge, which is why I'm smart.
That logic is hilarious. Sure.
Right, for sure, man.
I find marriage completely pointless.
For poor kids, one of the strongest predictors of success is having married parents.
Yeah.
As a kid, I would have done anything to have had two stable
Oh, that's absolutely a huge factor in success right there.
parents. There are 3 golden rules of luxury beliefs.
Number 1, the person never has to experience the consequences of the outcomes. Oh, the victim, right.
Did you notice campus protesters acting like refugees?
Good point.
Luxury beliefs help many elites feel like they deserve what they have. After all,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? I'm so glad that he fucking said that. Almost all of it is narcissistic entitlement to justify that they already have things.
Yep.
Like, that's what it's all about. Like, if you look at why somebody holds certain beliefs and you stop thinking about them as principles and you start thinking about them as coping mechanisms, most of people's beliefs make more sense.
today's progressive activists are twice as likely than average to make over $100,000 a year.
I wonder why.
Why are you doing this to me?
Wonder why.
Oh, protest without penalty. This is a good one.
Why are you doing this to me?
Yep.
By the looks of it, you would think these protesters were facing serious consequences.
This morning, police say at least 45 pro-Palestinian protesters were arrested at Yale University. Police say they were later released.
But the stakes are pretty low when you're released with no major penalties.
Living right here to the right.
And also the worst thing is that sometimes these people goad other people that are underprivileged into doing this, and then the underprivileged people get fucked over because they don't have the apparatus to keep them out of getting in trouble, right? So like, let's say somebody does catch a charge for this.
This is where that narcissistic manipulation comes in. It's where that gaslighting kind of comes in, you know, right? Like that's all that these people try to do is just try and push their project their own insecurities and themselves onto people. It's not good.
Okay, that's fine, right? But like, it's okay because your dad owns a company and you can just work there for a few years, right? But like, if you are an actual like lower class person and you get hoodwinked into believing this, you could actually fuck your entire life off.
That's what I was trying to say, yeah.
The part that bothers me the most, when the privileged claim to fight for the underdog, but actually hurt them instead. Remember when an heir and his fellow vigilantes faced off with a janitor at Columbia? That was luxury beliefs in action.
Yeah, bullying the janitor, that's definitely, that's what the freedom fighters would have done.
Oh yeah, dude, totally.
Yeah.
Privileged men wrestling...
They say fight the working man, not work with them.
...the blue-collar worker.
Yeah.
All in the name of the marginalized.
It's just...
Yeah, no, and again, like, the reason why this stuff happens is because these people want to feel like they are good people. And I think it actually comes from a place of guilt. And I'll explain why. These are people who live in a tremendous position of privilege. They live in a privilege that is unfathomable in any other time in human history. And I think that they realize that, and they know that subconsciously, so they look for ways to, like, victimize themselves so they can feel like they're, you know, they're actually victims. What do you think, do I think that it's a coincidence that all of the women who are talking about, all of the people are women who are talking about defund the police? Let's defund the police, defund the police. It's all women who are living in nice houses in first world countries.
He's got that right. They're either all women or they're all extremely feminine men who are actually just gay.
I'm sorry, but if you are a woman living in a nice house in a first world country, you are privileged as fuck. And
100%.
The reason why is because of the police. The moment the
100%.
police are gone, people would just come and take your shit.
No, 100%. He's right about that.
And that's it. I live in a rich town. It's insane. Yeah, exactly. And so, like, what these women are doing, right, is they're putting this out there so they can present themselves as victims, right? Because of this internalized sense of guilt. And so they're trying to, like, almost right the wrongs of, like, this guilt that they perceive. White women tend to be the most privileged. I mean, undoubtedly, right? I mean, obviously, like, if like being the dominant race in an area is a benefit. It is. Like, if you're in a black area and you're black, that's a benefit, right? If you're in Mexico and you're Mexican or Hispanic, that's a benefit. If you're in China and you're Chinese, that's a benefit. That's the way it goes. There's nothing that's like, it's not intrinsic about being white particularly. It's about being part of the dominant group.
See, that's the thing that most people don't understand, man. It's the fact that there is no such thing as white privilege, right? There is no such thing as that. There is a such thing as being the predominant race in an area. Like what he just mentioned, being Chinese in China, being white in America. You know what I'm saying? It's not a privilege thing. It's a fact that, predominantly speaking, it's the race of the country.
Scary just thinking that you're locked in.
And it's not crazy to say that white is the race of our country. It isn't. It's factual, and you know it.
With a bunch of crazies.
This is home turf.
Of course,
Yeah, exactly.
not all protesters are super privileged.
This country was 100% built on white people, dude.
I repeatedly said that my family has been killed, and that is why I'm here.
Right.
And as I was saying that through the megaphone, police officers snatched the megaphone out from my hand and threw it behind them.
And it's great that people with privilege care about injustice, but too many of these people don't know what they're protesting.
They don't care about injustice. They care about conspicuously displaying that they care about injustice. And it is a bad thing, by the way, because I view it the same as like whenever companies try to push like social agendas. Whenever a company tries to push a social agenda, it pollutes that social agenda and it makes it worse and weaker because of the fact that it's a it's like now it's tainted with like.
But I will say this regarding the whole race thing. The white race is not starting to. It's for a while we've been on the lower end of the population. If you actually look into statistics like around the world, we actually only make up 15% of the world's population. And it's kind of nuts
like this
to think about.
Company's brand, right?
And a lot of that just has to do with race mixing, all these crooked, weird beliefs that people have, you know what I'm saying? Personally, I'm not for it, but I don't care if other people are for it either. But personally, it's just not my thing. If it's your thing, cool. I don't care. Do your thing.
People will never actually take risks or do things that will be unadvantageous towards themselves, right? This is why a lot of feminists...
After all, we're all free to our own decisions. We run that back.
And it is a bad thing, by the way, because I view it the same as like whenever companies try to push like social agendas.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever a company tries to push a social agenda,
I hate that. I hate that.
It pollutes that social agenda and it makes it worse and weaker because of the fact that it's a it's like now it's tainted with like this company's brand, right? These people will never actually take risks or do things that will be unadvantageous towards themselves, right? This is why a lot of feminists are not pushing for adding women to registering for the draft. Because there's always going to be a reason why the people that are pushing for this should maintain their privilege and other people that are besides them should give theirs away.
Another big reason for that is women don't belong in the war. They belong in the house. They belong, you know, being a home caregiver. You know what I'm saying? They should be a housewife. They shouldn't be on the battlefield. They should be medics, if anything. But they shouldn't be out on the battlefield. Never. No army, no real army has women on the front lines. And historically speaking, armies that do, they end up falling. Really, really badly. And that's just the truth.
These white, woke, pampered children from wealthy families, there's a complete ignorance about the complexities of this issue.
Luxury belief activists turn causes into props that transfer attention to where students really want it.
Yeah, it's all about,
themselves.
Yep.
Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation?
Get out.
This is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass
of
water?
So simple.
See, that clip is interesting because you can get free water almost anywhere. And I'm being serious about that. Like, places out here in the country, they will give you free water.
And this is what they think they are. And I think this is like, I think that there is like a core human condition that...
You literally, all you have to do is just go to a gas station, go to a restaurant, and ask for a water cup. and they'll give you a water cup. It's that simple.
People want to rage against the machine. They want to fight against something that's like unfair. And the reality is that society now is pretty fair in a lot of cases. Like, things are really good now. Are there inaccuracies and inequalities? Yeah, for sure. But like, those inequalities are like a microcosm compared to what they used to be. It's not.
Oh, and right here, dude, freaking, like, in this video or whatever that he's watching, he's featuring a video of MLK. Such a iconic figure, first of all. First and foremost. Second of all, RIP. Because he was one of the few outspoken individuals who actually made it far within this country in terms of, getting people to not judge people by the color of their skin. And we need, like, more of that.
Not even.
And that's what and it kind of goes along with the lines of what I was saying earlier, dude. If you really believe that white privilege is a thing, then you're judging white people by the color of their skin.
Those inequalities are like a microcosm compared to what they used to be. It's not even like remotely comparable. So these people act like they are because, again, the internal guilt.
I think that's a real thing too. This whole internal guilt thing is really strange. I don't personally deal with it, but weird people out there do. And I say weird people, but they're just people who have nothing better to do with their lives. No ambitions, no goals, nothing.
Yep.
Here's what protests look like without luxury beliefs.
Yep.
The protesters of the 60s had more skin in the game, yet almost always practiced nonviolence.
The 60s was the prime definition of how America should protest.
Of course.
Sure, no movement has been perfect. But today's students oversimplify complex geopolitical issues into narratives of good versus evil, while
because they're the good ones. What a surprise. Duh.
Destroying property and harassing people along the way.
Yeah, of course.
So, how should they protest? Amplify the stories of everyone except yourself. Amplify the stories of victims. And if taking a stand means you don't get a degree or a job, don't protest the consequences.
Yeah.
Accept them. Instead, when Savior Theater is done for the day, campus protesters have the best luxury of all: someone else cleaning up the mess.
A quiet and mostly empty UCLA campus except for cleanup crews after the pre-dawn crackdown.
Cleanup crew. Cleanup crew. Cleanup crew. Cleanup crew?
Uh-huh.
I'm just kidding, guys.
Yeah, these are the actual people that are unprivileged. He's completely right about everything he said, by the way. Like, I completely agree with everything.
Oh, 100%, dude.
The people that do this, Juanos Twitterers, yeah, exactly. Why do you think this only happens in Western countries and not Singapore, South Korea, etc.? The reason why it happens primarily in Western countries is because, I think there's a lot of reasons. It's a good video. Yeah, this is a great video. Give it a like. This is amazing.
That's what I was saying. There's a lot of reasons. It's like a, we call it a multitude of complications in one. It's not just like one problem. It's everything, man.
Love videos
like systematically speaking.
This, as soon as I can find it, give me a second. Yeah, there it is. I think there's like 5 or 6 different reasons. I think one reason, obviously, is that we have a lot of freedom over here to protest, and a lot of other countries in the world genuinely don't have freedom of speech. Like, for example, Russia doesn't have freedom of speech. China doesn't have freedom of speech. Singapore, I can't speak to Singapore. I don't really know. South Korea, I don't know if they have it, right? In the same way that we do, right? A lot of people have...
They don't.
A degree of freedom of speech.
They don't. No other country does.
But the degree that America has is extremely high, higher than pretty much anywhere else in the world. So that's one reason. I also think that there's like a cultural, like a religious reason. I think that, for example, like in America and in a lot of Western culture, the predominant religion is Christianity, right? And that is what shades all of our government. That's what shades everything, right? That's what everybody's thinking about. It's like based off the 10 Commandments, etc. And I think that Christianity has like a unique, like.
See, he's right to an extent. We used to be that way, but in the last like few decades or so, we've been kind of swaying away from that and more towards other shit. And that's where our problems are. We need to be more Christian as a country, I think.
degree of guilt attached to it, and with like original sin and people being evil, etc. So I think that like even in like the core DNA, you have a tremendous amount of like learned and like you know, a sense of like I don't even really know, like I haven't really thought about this a lot, so I don't really have a good way to say it. But I think that basically like a Christian culture promotes people to feel more like victims and to victimize themselves more, because that's part of the way that their religion works. So yeah, it's like what, Christians are self-hating. Well, I don't think they're self-hating necessarily, but there is a huge component to that. So like there's that, and then there's also the programmed guilt. Like for example, Singapore and South Korea are pretty much like all Singaporeans and all South Koreans, right? So they don't have the same type of like racial politics that we do. So like for us, right, like we had slavery, and slavery was a long time ago, right? It was like over 150 years ago, but it was not that long ago. Like Cap, is Singapore is pretty diverse? Okay, maybe I'm wrong about that. Sure, South Korea then. Yeah, I mean the person just gave a couple of different examples, so like there's really that. I don't want to argue about that. I really don't know. I just assume. But anyway, the point is that
I'm not assuming. I know that America is the most free in terms of free speech in the world. And
with a lot
you can try and prove me wrong otherwise, but it's not going to work.
This stuff, people don't do this type of thing to feed their ego. I think also,
not that I'm not open to it, it's just you can't prove me wrong because I'm not.
The need to be virtuous becomes stronger inside of America because we also have more class consciousness. And I know South Korea has a lot of this now, and Asian countries are starting to adopt it. But I think that the need to virtue signal is correlated with class consciousness, because if people know that they have a privileged position, they know that they have to act like they don't. So if you're constantly thinking about the position that you're in and the world that you live in and like your place in it, you're always thinking about trying to like rationalize that inside of the world. So in other countries that don't have such a focus on that and such a big emphasis on it, you don't need to, basically I think virtue signaling is an outcome of guilt and attention seeking. And I think that the guilt is in our society at like a fundamental level, and the attention seeking is all over the world, right? But it's in America the most. So like those are some of the reasons, right? I honestly, like, I probably would have to think about that for hours to like give you a better answer, but that's my best like kind of rudimentary answer. That's some of the reasons. It's worse in China. Yeah, I don't know what it's like in China. I've never been in China, but I completely agree with everything this guy's saying. He's completely fucking right.
Yeah, dude. Like what they're saying is 100% true. And we do need a systematic reform. 100%.